No data. Why no data? Oh, because I'm on the wrong thing. This one. Oh, am I already live? Holy hell. Maybe. Oh, is it there? It is there. Okay, hey. Haven't done this in a while. Hey, fellow creators. Ben here from Cinderblock Studios, and I'm doing a live thing this week because things kind of got derailed for me this weekend. And this is really the only time I've got this morning to do any kind of painting. So that's what's going on, and that's what we have going on. I gotta get some music going in my headset here, so I don't lose my mind in silence down here in the studio. TB6 is good. Um, so yeah, I've got my current project that I'm working on, which likely will be a lot of my stuff to start, and a handful of other things, but yeah. If YouTube wants to load some music, that'd be great. There we go. Just making sure where everything's good. I don't want to be streaming that either. I realize it's spontaneous. I didn't actually announce it, but yeah. And it took me all this time after I mixed a bunch of paint up to set things up, so my palette's probably half dry. Not quite, but for my fellow East Coast Americans, I hope you guys are waking up uh, to some nice stuff this morning. This stream included. Which I do want to double check because I had set this up, I think, to dual stream the. Oh, I can't turn that on now. Damn. There was a button to do it vertically at the same time, which is really cool, but in setting things up, it got disabled, so. Oh well. So Friday night, this is where this is why this is a stream this week and not a regular video or a vlog. Um, there was. Why is that in there? Analytics. Okay. Um, Friday night there was a huge windstorm in my area, and it knocked out power for basically the entire city. So I didn't get power back until a little past noon on Saturday, and by that point it kind of derailed the entire day. I had actually taken a bunch of frozen food to my parents' place, um, so they could store it. And by the time I got home, the power was back on. So I'm like, oh well, great. I just wasted my morning now. And then just kind of gamed away the afternoon because I was like, well, now I really don't want to do anything. Even with the power back, it like kind of just threw a wrench in everything for the day. So I decided, that's it. I'm gonna just kind of veg out Saturday and then take care of literally all of my weekend stuff Sunday. So that's where we are now. So I'll have to put at least an hour or two into this painting to really feel caught up. Uh, which is fine. Like certainly, I didn't really mess with it much last weekend either because I was primarily focused on newsletter, as well as actually I had a meeting with the owner of a gallery and multi-use display space called the Catchup City Creative. It's like literally right like the next hill over from me, more or less. And I officially made the booking for the new exhibit, which this piece will be a part of, in next spring. So it's really a long way out. I'll make that I'll make that more of an announcement later. But first, you guys heard it here first. Actually, if you read the newsletter, you saw it there first. But um, the I have now over a year to get enough of these pieces done for a show, which I already have like what 4 or 5 of them. So I'm hoping to have closer to like 12 to 15 by then. Um, and as well as enough time to really hype it up and push the marketing and everything. It'll be 2 weekends in next April. Um, but that's fun, so I can continue to talk about it and build up the hype for it and keep pushing that. Help drum up that audience more and the sort of the long game for the art marketing kind of deal. It gives people enough time to plan. If somebody's a fan from out of state, they can make plans to travel in or whatever. It's like 2 weeks after Easter or the week after Easter, something like that, for next year. And because of the way this year is going so far, I will say that it's one of those ones that I know that if I just be like, it's next year, I don't have to worry about it. It's like, no, I have to really think about this all the time, at least in the back of my head, because otherwise I'll run into the problem of letting it sit too long and then be running behind. Like, oh crap, it's here, you know. So I realize you guys are getting a little bit of glare here. Not much I can do about that right now, just based on how I have my easel set up. Um, but I did have a video planned this week. I just, of course, again with the power outage, I couldn't really record it and edit and upload and do all that and still have all the time I needed for all that stuff. So yeah, obviously that's an issue. Um, do sort of run into that issue as you go a little bit. Try not to be super opaque with this layer. This is more of this yellowish orange to kind of build out this base. And then I have some brighter tones as well that I'll kind of very very lightly just dance in, like whites and off whites and stuff a little bit later. But this is really just establishing more of those brighter tones because everything's really, really dark right now. Especially considering how this piece got built up from the start. Um, and I did last time I worked on this, I just basically did a whole layer of like dark blues to find all those really rich shadows. But at this point now, I just gotta pull in the lighter tones a lot more. Get And there's still a little bit of freedom in finding those rock shapes and everything, but not as much as there was previously and everything like that. Gotta switch hands here. Primarily because I don't want to block the camera. It's the plus side of breaking my wrist a couple of years ago that I learned to actually do a bit more painting with my left hand. As long as you just keep your wrist still and wiggle the brush, you're okay. Yeah, see, this is good here because the paint I'm using here is transparent enough that I'm still getting those looser underlying brush strokes showing through. And while there's not a ton of this on my palette, I'm literally have mixed like 3 colors together to make this, so it's easy to remix when I need to get more of it. Which I've been wanting to make sort of a quick tip out of at some point. Um, that it simplifies if you simplify your palette, at least in terms of what you use for each painting, not necessarily all of the colors you have. It's funny, Golden actually asked that question on their Instagram the other day. It was like, how many colors do you have on your palette? I'm like, well, for any given piece, it's like 4 or 5, but for my entire studio, it's like 30. Um, so it's kind of variable that way. But when you simplify the overall process of that into just um, a handful of colors, whatever, you don't have as much of an issue with trying to find, you know, oh, how did I get this mix? How did I get that mix? It's like, well, if you only use 4 colors, it's like it's a lot easier to figure that out. All right, come in here with this side. I basically have 2 versions of this tone right now. I have an oranger version of it and a yellower version of it, so I can distinguish what's further back and what's further up. At least a little bit. Still within some reason, though. Alright, where are we? Real light here, because this is mostly in that shadowed side. Keep that dark. I can make that a little lighter here, though. Okay. My palette could use a little spritz. Yeah, that looks pretty good. A little water there. It's too much there. I want to throw another rock face in that. I don't want to get as bright on this edge because I still want to focus the attention in. Be a little bit more sparing with the opacity here. That's up to that edge anyhow. And I'm using water in this instance primarily just to control that opacity. Because the mix I have is sort of I would say probably close to like semi-opaque in terms of all that. So I can still find shapes in here, but I don't. It's not as committal if it was a more if it was more opaque, and I can again work those. That's gonna need some more darks. I just created that whole other new area now. It's gonna need reshadowed, but that's fine. Once again, I hope all you guys are having a wonderful Sunday morning, whatever you happen to be doing. Heck yeah, that looks great. Okay, I'm gonna get this whole upper area done and then kind of get back to the riverbed in a minute. The bridge I'll let sit further back for now. 'Cause that's probably gonna be one of like the last things I do are the two bridges. So the colors I'm using here, by the way, are Cad Yellow Medium, Titan Buff, and Transparent Red Iron Oxide to get this nice orange color. There's a tiny touch of red in there too, but not enough to make a huge difference, like the tiniest little sliver. Mostly just to build up that extra little bit of complexity. Yeah, that little outcropping needs to be a lot brighter. Same thing with that. That should be a little brighter too. I have the darker orange on my brush right now. Oh, darker of the two, really. Yeah, a little brighter, a little more opaque to get that distinction between these two. Because when I add the other light in here, it's going to make a difference. Okay. That's not bad for a first pass of that. The brighter the highlight on top of that will be a much smaller brush, so I can get a lot more finesse with it. All right. Yeah. This lower end of the upper end rather. Upper, lower, whatever. Uh, depends on how you look at it. It's like upper to the river or upper to the viewer or whatever. Um, I do need some highlights here, or some. This is sort of mid highlight, somewhere in the middle. Um, I'll leave a lot of that more ambiguous though. I don't want to go too crazy with it. Um, but it does need brightened up a little. It's still pretty loose down in here, but for good reason. I mean, with any piece like this, I try to use certain areas of contrast and detail to focus the viewer's attention when I'm working on stuff. Because typically it's like things that are further back are out of focus, things that are closer to the viewer in focus or and more detailed. But I kind of shift that a little bit depending on where I want the viewer to look, and I intentionally switch around where I detail and which things I detail for that exact reason. So for a piece like this, I mean, I will highlight the spire a little bit, but I'm putting a lot of detail up into here, and that's primarily so like your most contrast you're going to be either here or here, like at first viewpoint, and then this should flow your eye kind of down and around like this a little bit. So it's like down here, or it's like regardless of like sort of which of these 3 points catch your attention. The idea is that your eyes kind of bounce between them and then flow down the river with that contrast. That's at least how I've designed the piece in terms of color and contrast in that sense. And I will say though, I feel like that's really complicated, but I did all of that really subconsciously. Like it's just ingrained in my head that I need to balance the things that way. So I don't think about it that in depth while I'm working on it. But like when I stop back to think, I'm like, well, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I just I don't consciously think about it. I don't want to too much under the bridge because a lot of that'll be in shadow as well. Mm. But I can do a little bit. I'm leaning more towards the oranges rather than the yellows for this little piece here. It's a little there. And I talk about this periodically too, like about how there's almost a I don't want to say necessarily say it's a beginner thing. I mean, it's going to be different for every painter, but um, there's a compulsion I think to use a bunch of different brushes. And in a moment like this, like I'm really kind of in the zone here, and this is one brush. This has been one brush this whole time. I have not switched this brush for something else. It's just been the same, like quarter-inch flat brush here. Is it consider it a flat? Doesn't even say. um, but yeah, it's like I'm not focused on like trying to get 1,000 different brush textures. It's just fleshing out that composition, and this brush is the only thing I really need to do that with. I was actually been thinking about this the past couple of weeks too, about how to really approach these upper highlight layers here, because like I don't want to lose all of that depth that I've built up just with slapping an opaque layer on it. So this mixture of the two oranges is actually really helping. I don't want to say free my mind up a little bit, but like it it's main in maintaining those uh, rich layers. Um, I'm able to do that. I'm able to move that paint in that way, but uh, not lose what I have underneath. Obviously, gonna be some overlay with some layers I made already, but that's all right. And the same thing you can do with contrast and detail, you can do with texture. In that way of building up, you know, vocal points, focal points, excuse me, by adding you know, another blob of texture somewhere. That's another way to. I've done that in the past. I got away from it just because it didn't quite fit with the subject matters I was working on for a while. Yeah. I got I got this far into the riverbed and I forgot I was working on the riverbed. Now a lot of this side will remain in shadow, but the outcroppings still need hit. Yeah, if we're getting a lot of glare out the side window here, I might have to throw up a shielding. So I just looked at the screen. It's really a lot. Let me throw up some light barriers here. Give me a second. Gotta tape some of these together, I guess. That one. What else we got in scrap land? That might work. Tape some of these together. Always running this problem in the morning down here with trying to record anything and just there being way too much light and glare for video work. It's the downside to that paint layer being a bit more. Okay, so I gotta see which. Is it this side more or is it the other side more? I think it's the other side more. Okay. Yeah, because the sun rises right up this where this window is. Um, that's a little better, not much. It could also just be the overall weight, the angle of the canvas, but just taking out the more obvious glare also helps too. So just a little to fix that, which hopefully should circumvent a lot of the more brighter issues. There, that looks slightly better, I think, maybe, hopefully. Yeah. Again, like it is. There's only so much I can do because some of it is also coming from my light source up above me, but and since this painting is as big as it is, I can't really lay it down. Like I can't really get that setup going for this piece in particular. Looks like I gotta mix up more of this paint soon. Okay, let's see. Mm. Yeah, this is actually where I'm going to pull out some of that red I was talking about for the orange. Because this whole section is in shadow, but I still need to distinguish the little cliff faces. And this red's a lot more opaque, so I got to be careful with it. Yeah, so this is going to allow me to get those distinct edges without really losing the general value here. So I'm just kind of lightly, I don't want to say scrape, that's probably the wrong word for this, but I'm just dancing the tips of the bristles down for those shapes. Yeah, this way it stays dark without losing the detail. I can do that over here as well. Here, like basically all these front-facing ones. Got a little bit more here. Yeah, so I'm still getting that distinction without losing the darker value. In that case, I can actually probably do the same thing under these bridges with the red. Yeah, that's good. That can stay dark. So the red here, this is another one of those weird colors. The red is a mixed pigment. Let me double check something here. Yeah, okay. Um, the red is a mixed pigment that I make myself. It is quinacridone magenta and regular opaque red oxide, which I just refer to in my studio as quin oxide. Um, and it's a remarkably useful red for complex mixes without sacrificing chroma, which makes for a rather fun painting experience. One of these days, I am going to contact Golden's support team and just have them make me a big jar of it, rather than having to buy the separate colors and mix them. Where am I at here? Here. I don't really need much on that. I can already tell, too, this is going to be one of those ones that I'm definitely going to want prints of for that show. I mean, I'll probably get prints of all of them, but it's still a certain matter of having enough. And like, I'm not really gonna know exactly what everyone's gonna want for that show either, because again, that's a very different thing. And now that I'm doing that red for those other shadows, I definitely want to use that as the main color, I think, for this, with a little bit of a glow on one edge. of the brighter color. So I like the idea of keeping this closer to a silhouette and pushing it darker. This is sort of just this big ridiculous spire. Yeah, that feels good. Dark, but still fits with things because of that red. I don't need a few layers. That's pretty washy as it is, but it does feel a little bit better. Alright, well, I still have some of this color here. Do need to finish the rest of this so it at least matches the other side. Get myself a little carried away. Gotta just quick angled motions of the brush. Like this was really fun just to do right now, because it's like boom, 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 drop it in, and my brain is going, hey, smooth it out, and the other half of my brain's going, no, don't smooth it out. That's the whole thing I'm trying to break myself out of is over mixing, over painting, over doing too much and not letting stuff really kind of sit and be more freeform. Like I could still be like here, like I'm still being nice to this edge, but like getting in here, just letting things sit a bit more unevenly. Even doing some finger stuff. Finger stuff. Slightly wetter there. Or an oranger. This is good too. I really needed. I didn't, again, like I was saying earlier in the show. I really did not get a good chance to work last week, so this is just really nice to be able to clear my head with. Yeah, that feels pretty good. All right. Yeah, I let that get a little too loose there. It's texture's a little weird on that. All right, I'm gonna come back down here. Mentally gotta, like, I basically have to just trace it with the brush and not touch the canvas here, so I know when it does kind of come out from under that bridge what that shape and texture should look like for the land. And again, I can cross over my underlying pieces a little bit, but I don't want to cover them. And I am running out of this color. Probably start working some more of that red in there too. I don't have a lot of this orange left. A little there. I'm still unsure if I want to like work like a grass layer into this or not, or at least just like right around the, right in these lower areas, right by the water. I'm undecided. Okay, I do need to pull the canvas off the easel for a minute. Any of this lower edge stuff, I do need to interrupt the viewing experience. Getting the edge. That. Make sure I get this edge well. I still have some paint. Okay, there we go. I gotta resituate. Resituate! Hey, Jamie. Happy Sunday. Where's this? I gotta double check this now. See if I can angle that a little bit better. Try to avoid more of that glare. Alright. Oh, that's too much now. Can't work on it if it's that angled. Okay. Where are we? Need to mix more paint. That's where we are. Get a little more of that color down. I don't have another one of those. Okay. Orange and yellow. That one, not as much there. A little of that red. That's why we only use 4 colors, just so we can make more immediately. Okay. Is that a spritz? Okay. There we go. This. This is a mix of shadow and highlight on this cliff face, so I gotta be kind of selective with that. thinking that eventually kind of opens back up. Still leaves something of a thing there for the spire on that shadow. It doesn't need to be perfect, but yeah, I'm actually going to use a little extra texture of that paint for this upper edge for this section, because that does need that offset. There we go. That feels a little better. Yeah, really lay down a little more color here. This is central viewing points, so can afford to make it slightly thicker. I also had some pretty thin layers of paint under here as it is. I think my playlist is asking me if I'm still listening. Or just refusing to load. There we go. That has to be probably a little bit shadowed more. I'm going to get some more of that red in to that edge, which I need a little more in my palette, it looks like. Back to the orange. And I guess it might seem a little counterintuitive here to be using those wider marks and not detailing this close to the viewer. But again, I don't need you looking here. I need you looking up here. So I'm not worried about as much detail on this end. Yeah, I gotta fix this whole lower section here. The paint was way too thin. Actually, get more of the orange, I think. Oh, that's better. Yep, there we go. Yeah. All right. Don't need to go crazy. Just give it a little smear. Oh, that's better. Okay. A little on that edge. Mostly the reds there. All right. Okay, let's work on this cliff edge up here. Probably just end up using slightly off tinted, hue adjusted version when I do the bridges. I'll just grab like one of my generic mixed browns and go from there. Yeah, and this, I feel like while it isn't the main focal point, this is another one of those spots where I can afford to use a little bit thicker paint. I say as it is very thin currently, but to bring that extra texture in, which I again, just looking at this now, like late in the piece, I might do that a little bit, but a little bit, at least a little bit more than it was. This was primarily more about reestablishing my values and getting things brighter. Next layer will show up on camera a lot better. I mean, not that this doesn't, but it is notably a little more transparent. Just because that is what I'm trying to push right now. It's maintaining the darks without losing the complexity. But I talked about that earlier. Okay, just about there. For this layer, anyway. Okay, this is going to be another lift point. Lift point. There we go. Okay. Nice. Let me go ahead and clean my water, I think, here. Should help. As well as starting to think about what this upper highlight's going to look like. All right. Rinse of the brush. Get my smaller one of them. That could work. I'll probably keep that out as well, just for... Oh, there it is. That's the one I was looking for. Probably get a separate palette now, too. It's pretty polluted with that orange. Alright. So I'm still utilizing same colors, but not as much. I have some of this actually pre-mixed already. I get a little bit more. So the white here is the Titan buff, so it is a little bit more muted. I'm creating sort of almost like a fleshy kind of, a little bit of an orange, the pinkish orange color here. Um, and this is going to be a lot more sparingly touched and danced around the canvas. Might even add a touch more yellow into it. So I'm trying not to change things too much. Yeah, use the rest of that yellow. And this layer is very opaque, so I have to be. This is going to be like that slow, methodical dry brushing here to really get the landscape up to where I want it. So I can see the difference in the palettes here. So was this actually the same piece? Yeah, it was. So this is what I just finished with, this section. And this is what I used the last time, which is a lot more like blues and purples and stuff like that. Actually, no, this was a completely different piece. Now that I'm remembering, not the same one, but similar. Like the other one's probably on the floor somewhere. Nope. I was working on finishing a different piece last week, which is why I didn't work on this one. Um, so I'm actually going to start. Where do I actually want to start here? That's the question. I want to maybe start by moving the camera in a little, or, well, you guys are kind of alright. I'm actually going to need a quick bathroom break, so I should probably do that, but at least want to get a starter here. Really light in the back, but and I really got to think with this layer about where my light's coming from here, so exactly where to put that highlight, and not screw it up too much or everything like that. So it should still look like it belongs, you know. It's too bright. It's way too bright. I gotta, yeah. See, this is why I didn't want to start necessarily right there. Yeah, I gotta actually probably work some nickel azo yellow into that, because that's too much. That's too much, Bob. Not that I'm using nickel azo. I mean, there's a little bit of it in there, but that was more of an original layer. Yeah, this is actually too bright. I need to build more of a golden luminosity to this. That's better. Oh yeah, that's way better. Okay. It was too pink. It's way too pink. This I can work with. Still might be too much. Scrub that back. My bristles are too wet too. I gotta really think that dry brush more. This brush holds a lot of water, but just dancing around that edge a little. There we go. That's better. I'm also coming out of this faded background with the mist, so I can just kind of really just drag that brush along to be like a misty transition layer. Like that, so it's more ambiguous. And I can detail it more coming forward. Yeah. here I can start touching a little bit more in. But this, I definitely want to make it feel more misty here. Uh-huh. Yep. So those tiny little bits that just start to make things pop a bit more. Uh-huh. And now that I've started doing this, I'm gonna do the whole thing with this tiny brush, which is probably gonna take me like an hour and a half. Like once I get moving on something, I really don't like stopping. So uh, I might even toss a little another little zinc white mist layer in here at some point. My brain wants to say spray paint, but that would actually it would be too much. I'd actually have to use an airbrush for it, which I don't have. Although I might be hanging out with my friend Tiffany next week, in which case I might tell her to bring her airbrush with her. Just those little sparing highlights on that edge, just to really elevate the whole piece. And then, like, of course, right at the end, I'll go kind of come back in with more of the darks again, right at the end. But it's the thing with a process like this: just layer, 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 layer. And then when you think you're done, you say, "Okay, cool, I'm done." And then you layer again. I mean, I'll need that much anyway, just for the water, for it to show up more. I mean, well, maybe not. Yeah, this is just really very precise stuff here, building that up. And I'm not talking as much because it does require a little more extra concentration and finesse. Making sure my lines go where I want them and everything like that. Yep. All right, where are we? Here. I will probably need to switch to a bigger brush down here, but I'll probably try and concentrate more of this light just sort of in this center like section here, and then make it a little lighter further back. Because again, like sun's right here, it's going to be the brightest right here, and then just kind of like where the edges of the light will hit the cliff faces. So I don't want to go overboard with this. As I say, as I immediately make a huge mistake. Like I said, there's no mistakes in the new process. Like no, there's some like that are still like ah. What I love about this tighter process with the with like the upper highlights is you can make just like a couple of tiny little movements, and right here it looks ridiculous, but as soon as you lean back, your eye like readjusts, and you see those shapes for how they layer, and then like your brain fills in the gaps. And so I heard somebody respond talk about this somewhat recently as no recently as the past 5 years recently as the illusion of detail. Um, and I think about that a lot while I'm painting too, because it's like you there's a lot that the human eye just kind of does on its own that you don't really have to paint. It's just like your brain will just fill in the gaps because of the way the human brain is wired. So it makes the so I would use my left hand for this, but I do need to be more distinct with my lines. Um, but things like it's why things like animation are possible because of the way that there's like a latency in the brain, like brain to eye processing. Um, and similarly with certain visual design elements, your brain tells you that like the rock details are there even though they're not like down to the exact, which is something I love about at least my version of this process. I'll put a lot more detail in here though too, because the steps are something I really wanted to highlight here. Got a stray fiber in that. So here I can actually push a bit more of that down. Yep. Yep, yep, yep. Coming to life here. Coming to life. There we are. Right. I think I'll paint through the end of my playlist. That'll likely be the the way to call the show here. Of course, I got at least another 45 minutes. This little spot, I really want to have some brighter highlights too. There, I want to get that. Need to pull this. I absolutely have to move the camera this time. Sorry, have to block you for this. Couldn't get away with that one. Yeah, a little bit there. Um, yeah, couldn't get away with finessing that away. I really wanted that edge to be brighter and catch more of that light. Of course, now I got to rearrange. Now I got to fix the camera all up again. Because I feel like we're really off now. What do we got? That there, here. No, hold on. I moved the thing, and now I don't know where we were. There. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually too far angled now. I can't work. All right, I do need to take a quick break. I'm gonna throw a sign up. Um, let's get things moving here. Of course, now I'm looking at that since I moved the camera and now it looks blurry. Maybe not. Um, yeah. Let's see. Get this to sit. Quick break. Come on, angle that so it sits up higher. Eh. Eh. There. Hopefully that stays. I'll be back. And we're back. Okay. Alright. So, where the hell am I? Besides working on a painting. And what looks like possibly being out of Kleenexes in the studio, so I need to go up and get those. As long as I have a box, which I might have to steal from another room. Come back just to leave again. Yay! Okay. Uh, uh, uh. Next. That's what is nice about having a wireless headset, is I can just run upstairs and not have to take it off and still be able to talk to you guys. Please tell me I have an extra box of Kleenexes in here. Nope, looks like I'm stealing. Damn. Oh, that sucks. Would really hope if I didn't use Kleenexes in the studio for like paper towels all the time. But the texture of them is very specifically useful for so much stuff. Okay. Definitely gotta spritz my paint. Okay. Get myself back into this here. Yeah, good. Alright, where do I want to be? Over here, actually. Get these rocks that I need to re-shadow later. There we go. Yeah, so all these little outcroppings are going to need that extra little bit of light. I should put socks on, my feet are freezing. Yeah, a little back and forth here around the camera. Yeah, it's a little more sparing here just on the outcroppings, but it's a lot brighter up in the front. And I can already tell, like even with the light I'm putting in here, I'll probably glaze more color on top of it and tone everything back down again. Um, hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me get the other side of this. In which case I gotta move the camera again. So now we're on this other side. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get this other cliff face done. As much as I should put more in here, I actually want to jump into a different project because I'm starting to hit a mental wall here, and that's usually when you need to ease back. Um, Trying to think what I have around that's actually in progress. Not much. Oh, I got the fun splattery one, which I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get the camera around to that side of the studio or not. We'll see. That would be a fun one to get another layer on, though. Might get the broom out too. More stuff that probably should be in a vlog, but haha, nice. Yeah, this is allowing me to fix a lot of the rougher edges I had earlier on, but still keeping things loose. Yeah, just need a little grazing up in here. Yeah, I'll probably cover the paint I have in some plastic, and then if I have time later today, I'll come back through and do the more of the foregroundy stuff here. I'll say if I have time. If I'm not too tired, that's what I should say. Because I certainly will have time, but the energy, that's the piece of motivation that I may not have in the late afternoon. Okay. Yeah, so what I want to do here before I really get too far out of the thing is I'm gonna put a like a basically a glowing edge on this spire, so it's gonna catch some of this light. Basically, it's like not enough to detail it, but enough to make it pop out, especially down here. All right. Uh huh. That edge, this edge. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still not 100% sure if I'm gonna like fully detail this or not, but at least having this edge will help a lot. Okay, that's at least satisfying enough that I can let that sit. I still really gotta think on it more. That's too much. There we go. Better. Oh hey, other people hanging tonight. Nice warm glow. Small brush for a large painting. Yeah, I do that a lot. You don't necessarily need a big one. All right, where am I at? Remember when I said I was gonna switch gears and all of a sudden I'm not? Yeah. No, I might as well get all this stuff, uh, all these lighter areas done before I do. I might have to. Yeah, it might be time to up the brush though, just a little bit. I want that. I want that bigger edge for in here. Well, up here anyway. All right, I gotta shift a little again. Little there, little here. Light, light drags here. Not under the bridge, just a little bit before it. to there. And then, let's see, that's down. Actually, probably be closer to here that I can get away with it. Bridges are last. All right. A little here. I can't wait to show you guys the other stuff I've been working on too. My mom was supposed to be showing up sometime today too. I want to make sure she can get in. Bringing back my frozen meat from the power outage. Yeah, I need to go a little lower down again here. That's good. Where we at? Okay. Slightly bigger brush in here. Tilt you back a little. What's this? Yeah, just messing with that edge, basically. Happened to you. Yeah, bigger brush to get sort of these indications of perspective primarily. I'm more or less matching that. Mm-hmm. Just heck yeah, coming together, coming together. All right, now I can jump into a different piece. I say as I keep making brush marks. That's what I can see. Don't touch the print. Just okay. I think I'm back the camera back up now. Get you back further here. Yeah, I don't need to save this paint now, which is good. I mean, I don't need to cover it, but I'm still gonna throw it in this jar. If I need it, I can fish some out later. Yeah, next pass will be probably the bridges, and then another layer of darks. Probably with that funny blue, and then it'll be like a final pass for details and stuff. But that gets me to like 75%, which is really, really good. Um, yeah, that feels a lot better than at least where it was. Oh crap! I just realized I missed a huge chunk here. Wow, there's still a little bit of residual dry paint here. This whole segment here needs hit. Not a ton because it's mostly in shadow, but that never got a little extra treatment. Same thing up here. Like this, I had a little bit. I want to give it just a little extra finesse. There. There we go. That balances now. Oh, I hit the last song in my playlist, so that's definitely the clear sign to shift a little. Also, did I? Oh, I never sprung forward the studio clock. Just gonna say, I didn't think it was that late. What is this? Where did I get that from? That's the real question of the studio. Where the hell did I get one of those? All right. I'm definitely going to need socks on. I can feel my foot cramping up in the cold. Okay, both my feet are cramping. Holy hell. Yep, need to put socks on. So, one of the things I did this past week is something I've actually been wanting to do for a really long time, and that is paint with a broom. Unfortunately, the broom handle didn't hold the way I wanted it to, so it's just the end of the broom. And I did an initial pass on this wood panel. I think that might have been last week too, as I had to run to my so working on sort of rebuild. Uh-oh. Reaching the end of my signal. And so I just used the brush of it. Oh, that's the panel, and then the panel I was working on was not cradled properly because I did it randomly with screws the one day, like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And so I ran to my dad's house to use his table saw and cut some new pieces so I could cradle it more properly. So let's see how far I can swing this camera. I'd bring it over to the table, but it's not going to work that way. Everything's, especially, I really want to let that sit. All right, we are coming over here. To my floor spot. Okay. So I'm starting with the purple splattery piece because this is a little bit more important currently. And I can jump to the broom piece in a minute because I want a second pass with the broom piece. It's too bright. Bucket. So I got this guy who has been getting various treatments back and forth and back, and I also may have to adjust my exposure here as well. We do look a little dark. Figure exposure up. Oh no, it's got to be brightness up. I can see the filtering happening here. Give me 1 second to adjust our settings. Contrast up. There, brightness, bright. Yeah, I might have to do it with the exposure. I don't really want to, but we'll be all right. It kind of screws with the refresh rate a little. Focus. Well, autofocus. I don't really like doing that for streams and stuff, but I kind of need to prioritize the viewing experience, at least to some degree here. Okay. So this piece I've been slowly messing with, because I can only do like one layer at a time and let stuff dry. It's a lot of splatteries, in which case I need a glove and a different brush. And to figure out what color I want to use, I want to go probably light blue for my next layer of this. I'm also working on painting this bottle for a friend of mine. He's like, "Do you want this thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And after I got home, I'm like, "By the way, I'm going to give this back to you once I paint it." He's got a lot of prints in his house of sort of like one of my favorite periods, sort of the American Romanticism painters from like the 1800s. So I'm going to probably do a pseudo replica of a piece on that for him. I came back upstairs for something. I don't know what it was. Glove. Right. So I'm kind of I'm back and forth between. No, I got to put this on my left hand. Back and forth between brush splatters and just regular finger flick splatters and knife work and all kind of different stuff. And it's this mixture of purples and blues that I'm working through right now. I've got this tiny tube of primary cyan that was given to me as a bonus at some art store trip years ago. So I'm going to go with that. And some white. touch of Quin Magenta or something, I'm not sure. Likely. Most likely here. Just enough so it's not that pure color. Yeah, it's been really been a mixture of the Quin Magenta and varying blues, excuse me. Yeah, but this definitely needs to be bluer than that. Touch of white. I'm not going super bright yet. I mean, I'm getting there. Like, I started dark and I've been working my way up. Want to be closer to like a deep sky color, essentially. That's pretty good. Slightly brighter. Okay. So that, a whole bunch of water, and a nice stiff brush that I can really go to town with. I'm basically just creating this burst-like edge all the way around the edge of this tree. That when I go back in with sort of a black layer later, it's basically just going to be like this beautifully highlighted edge all the way around. But the problem is you can't do more than one splatter layer at once. Otherwise, you end up with the problem of the layers bleeding together and mixing together, which I absolutely do not want. So I'm just thinning that down. Load this giant brush up and just kind of selectively, it's actually a little too wet there. I'm trying to avoid the bigger drips, at least for this layer. The last one I did was this pink metallic layer mixed with like some silver and gold acrylic. So I'm really specifically just working that edge. And I did make an initial edge with black, and the goal was to get it to a point where I can't see that edge anymore. So every splatter layer on top of it is just a little different, just a little different. And I like this piece as well because I can do this. I can do like one layer of this a week, every day of the week if I'm really wanting to mess with it. But I haven't touched this in a couple weeks, so this is actually it's good to be back to do this. Get a little more on there. Once I get sort of that initial one, I can push a little bit more. Get somewhat more expressive with them. And the glove helps because that's going to pull the heavier stuff out a bit. Yeah, I went a little overboard with the metallic splatter, so I'm actually using this layer to more or less cover more of that up. The thickness of that will still be there, but yeah, that's pretty good. Let me get just a hair more on this side. Focusing more on purples and pinks, but this extra this extra layer of the mid-tone blues should really help offset the next layer. Okay, so that's where that's at. Oh, really fun to do, but again, like the long layers over and over and over and over again make it really hard to to keep pushing them. I'll do that and I'll set it aside and I'll forget about it and not necessarily worry about it. This is fun though, so I've been struggling lately to show a lot more of my newer process, and this particular day, since I'm kind of on a good roll mentally, motivation-wise, at least up until, at least at most another hour here, that's going to need a different container. Is that going to fit in there? That's not going to fit in there. Might have to use an actual bucket. Which which I think is what I did last week when I was messing with it. Where did the other? Oh, where's the other bucket? Oh, the painting's sitting on it. Right. All right, so that's moving over there. This one, this big bucket is going to be my water bucket for the next layer of the other one. All right. So, this is where things get a little crazy. I will not be able to look at chat in the next like 10 minutes, so 10 to 15. Doing this because it's impossible. My computer's way over there and the camera's way over here, because this is where... Uh-oh, that's still going. All right. So, this was layer 1 of the first piece I've ever done with a broom. I'm going to go ahead and tilt that down a little bit more so it's at least visible. So I had this broom handle that last month when I was sweeping snow with it, the handle broke. So I cut it in half and re-drilled, had to basically carve through them, re-drilled holes, and one of them I just turned into a half broom, and the other one I was like, this is the excuse I've been waiting for to paint with a broom. So, I did this the other night, and there's a lot of white here with this, and I did some other splatters, so it kind of got a little bit polluted by other splatters. Plus, it's not as necessarily dark as I want right now, so I want to do more of this bleed in from the red, and then the yellow strip in the middle, and everything like that. So I want to do another pass with this. That way, it's getting some of the underlying brightness with a little bit more darkness and depth to that. I'm probably going to make it vertical like this. Have more of a red sky into a bluer and greener dark down here. So it's going to be basically two different yellows here into the blue from the red. But first things first, I need to lay down enough both liquid. I'm going to probably use some of the open acrylic as well for this to really mess with this. Because what I did last time I did that, I sprinkled on some glazing liquid and stuff like that and just kind of started smearing. But the only thing with this is in order to do that, I need a big enough water bucket in order to use the damn broom. Plus, the thing's I've been doing my best to keep it from shedding too many extra bristles, because this is this stiff synthetic stuff that's going to allow me to really push that around. All right, let me figure out what colors I'm actually going to do for this. Also, my feet are still cramping, so I might have to grab my slippers too. All right. Anyone complaining about a big brush from earlier doesn't need to complain about the big brush anymore. Oh, that's right. I had the liquid. Where is it? Yeah. Some leftover paint that I turned into liquid cad yellow. I'll use that. I want to blend that into, I think, some Hansa yellow for the blue on that end. The blue of this was primarily golden indigo, the old version, the anthraquinone. I'm going to take that and mix it with Prussian for the base. Or, what other blues do I have here? Do I have other blues? I do, but not the ones I want to use. Okay, reds. Reds, that's the real question here. Well, might use some of my quin oxide, or even just... I kind of need an excuse to use a big blob of the regular quin magenta, so I'm going to use that with something else. Touch of... See, this is quin red. Actually, yeah, that would probably be better. The quin red and a bit of the open Perol dark. That's a better choice for that. That'll mix with that yellow better for what I want and what I'm thinking of here. That's that'll work. That'll work great. Okay, slippers, right? Because my feet are still a little cold. Little cold, little cold. Nothing an extra layer can't handle, though. Yeah, this will have to be the last thing I do this morning. It's supposed to be pretty warm today. And I've got some outside stuff that is calling my name. How warm is it anyhow? Oh yeah, it's getting there. Okay. Alright, let me lay down some color. And then some medium. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and grab that glazing liquid now. Or even, actually probably not the glazing liquid, probably the GAC. Because the GAC is not going to extend the drying time, and I already have the open sitting there, so I definitely don't need that. Alright. So I'll start with the blobs of the thick paint. All that down there. Thick. Here, here, here. Keep it darker on that end. Here, there, here. That, 2, 3, 4. Say that Parola alone will keep things very wet for several times. There's that squeeze. What's the squeeze, man? I probably should get more of this color in the other lineup that I've got. Some of that. Yes, what I was trying to say before, because all of my new pieces are sort of their own process. Uh-oh. It's gunked up. Come on, really? Right now? Yeah. The looser liquidy paint here. I have to get a new cap for that. And every part of the new process has been different, so it's hard to show on camera for like a regular video. All right, I'm gonna start. Basically, I'm gonna be using like one end versus the other here. Get some water down there first. This is also why I do this on this side of the studio where there's less issues to mess with. All right, throw some liquid medium into that. Okay, start here. Oh yeah, that's much brighter with that red. That's what I was looking at and looking for. Yeah, but I still have that looseness there. Yeah, and then do that. And this side, which is much darker. Huh? Ah, it's a lot closer. Like that. And then letting the... Actually, well, I'll tell you what I'm definitely going to do here. Now I'm realizing exactly how this is going. Not that one, this one. Because we're going to get... I just realized we're going to get basically mud in the middle here. Because I'm going to get that... going to get something out that I actually started the other piece with. So I'm just going to tap that. Alright, see, now we get that red to green. We lost most of the blue there. That's okay. Can get more in. Get some more blue back in there. It's a lot looser of a... Yeah, pull that blue up. Good, I'm going to do that. And now I'm going to get... put that in there. Okay. What was I getting? Something. Yeah, I'm actually going to basically treat this the same way I treated the other one I started. The other one I was working on earlier. So I've got this old lacy tablecloth, which has been an invaluable tool over the years for all kind of projects. I'm going to do that. I'm just going to dab that a little. And on top of that, I'm grabbing rubbing alcohol, which I'm going to just real loosely sprinkle over in my hand. Like that. So we're going to get some resist in the middle of that. Give that another light dabbing. Get some of that resistance. And now when we lift, it'll be a lot more modeled. Yeah, like the last one. Okay, so this is very rainbowy, actually. I don't want it to be that precise. Let me get just this a little, and I'm going to tap. So really, a lot of these experimental starts. And I never fully know where I'm going with it. It's a lot more vibrant than it was, though. I like that. Which actually might be better suited then for the red on the bottom and the blue on the top. And I could sprinkle some stars in here. Like, there's a lot of options. Like, this is just, for me right now, it's very much like an emotional thing. I'm just trying to, this feels good, some of this, be a little more chaotic with it. Might actually bring some more rubbing alcohol back into this, actually. Oh, look at all those little blooms. That's beautiful. Absolutely. Yes, that's so much better. Hell yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Check that shit out. Okay, yeah. I like that a lot. Let me give that another dab with the broom. Rinse that out. Let's tap this again. Hit that real hard. Get that nice shape. It's almost like a flower in a lot of ways. Back this way. Kaboom! Yeah, can work with that. It does get paint everywhere, but hey, that's half the fun. Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with this the past little bit of time. Yeah, see, there's a hair down there. Just using the residual water here now. And I gotta pick those little hairs off. Little broom hairs. There's another one gonna come out. Yeah, I'm gonna touch a little more water here. Just a little. To offset that. Yeah, that's a nicer transition. It's a lot brighter. I feel like there's more I can do with that. Okay, and I can already see my brain's already thinking. So this is why, again, this is why I can't do this on a regular camera for a process video, because this is so, every piece is so wildly different. Okay, I've got this trowel knife, and it'll be technically sideways for you, but I can, like, my brain's already finding the city in this right here. I'm basically just gonna scrape with it. And go subtractive. Like, I can see it in here. It's this citadel on a mountain just sitting. There's a lot up here, like, but then there's a bigger cliff. Comes up and down. And this is fun too, because the everything I just did is so loose. So some of this is kind of coming back together. It's allowing me to really kind of think outside the box a lot more. Just basically scraping in this whole new area. But there's more to this place than this. Up and down there. Shielded by these spiked areas. So, like, I'm basically just sketching with this, but because the paint's so loose and fluid, nothing's set in stone here. I can just play and find the world. And standing over it helps a lot too, because I can just see where those things are. So, like, start with the bigger tools. You know, I have so far it's been a broom, a piece of a broom and a giant knife. I'm finding this, maybe there's like comes in here and there's a big waterfall, like right in there. And it's this series of them all going down. Big waterfall here. That's part of that. That's part of that world, and it goes down across. There's a bridge here. Like that. That cascades around. And in, or an aqueduct of sorts. Comes together like that. Something like that. Feels right. And then, what else? Just have that long spire in the hill, but we have an arc. Something to really kind of offset this. Bigger tower here. Like that. This way. That's good. I'll do that. There's another piece of this. Up that way. Just finding those things in here, you know? Actually, you know, but haven't done it in a long time as an like a post two of these for essentially a flag that comes down. that. And then this road that just kind of goes between it. A little traveling post or something there. Yeah, that's how rough my process is now. Is I'm starting so loose and with no ideas. I'm just finding things within these worlds and within these messes. And like really loosely building that out. And now like next layer into this, like this rough knifed out sketch could change very drastically. Like there's so many different things happening here. Or I might say tomorrow that I don't like any of this, and I'll slap another layer of paint on and just do something else. So that's why this is so hard to share. It's because everything's everything is so wildly chaotic. But I like this as a start. I really like that rainbow transition. So we'll see if that this pans out. But just being able to work. Well, the problem is I need to start doing this on a series of smaller canvases. Because right now I have more than enough big ones for next April. But there's also the issue of whether or not, not every single piece I make with the intention of putting into that show might even be in that show at all. There's a lot that oh, that's right, I'm out of the white. My high flow white is used up. I think the last layer of this. So yeah, that's how weirdly chaotic things are right now, and I'm just in doing that I'm refining them back then into paintings like this, which started, you can kind of see it in the sky. You can all that real loose blobular cellular blooms and stuff. That's how I got to here with this. And now I'm overexposed again. Take that exposure down. But yeah, that there it is. That's how, in many ways, that's how a piece like this. Well, this one started with charcoal, but still, it really, really very loose. Very actually, now that I'm thinking about it, some white Conte crown on that other one would be great once this dries, or once that dries. So, I think that's where I'm gonna have to call this one an episode. I appreciate you guys hanging with me in the studio this morning, though. This has been a supreme fish delight. No, if anyone gets that reference, though, I love you. Really just trying to plug away, getting a lot more of this stuff done, which is good because I've needed to for quite a while. Since I finished the tall one last week, so this got me to about 75% completed, which is good, and then I can get started on the next couple pieces going forward. Between that one, that big one, and more than a few small ones that I had started to prep. Oh, I think I might have shared this at some point too. This was oil to start, and it is now dry because I also threw a very thick layer of Galcut over this. So this will be one of the ones to mess with in between. This is it came out of a feeling of deep unease, so I'll likely call this something of the sorts. And it's kind of set up as like this explosion over the water or something like that. At least that's how I'm seeing it. So that's one of the small ones as well. But yeah, certainly in a unique realm of crazy stuff going on right now. But that's what's happening with me. I hope you guys have enjoyed the glimpse into my studio process for this weekend. And I want to remind you guys always to keep on creating, stay inspired, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.